So, GPT-5 is here, and all the early developer guides are calling it a total game changer, especially for its ability to code and act like an autonomous agent. But, and this is the big catch, the old prompts, the ones that worked for yesterday's models, they just won't unlock the real power of this new AI. To truly get the most out of it, we've got to change the way we communicate.
And yeah, that's really the central challenge, isn't it? We can't just tell GPT-5 what to do anymore. See, it's designed to be more like an autonomous partner, and getting the most out of it means we have to move beyond simple commands to a much more nuanced, more collaborative way of prompting.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The first major shift in thinking is all about learning to control the model's proactivity. The official guide calls this agentic eagerness. The best way to think about it is like a tunable dial for the AI's autonomy. It lets you decide if you need a passive instruction follower or a proactive independent partner.
And this is basically your user manual for that dial. If you want less eagerness, for a quick, focused result, you can put it on a short leash. You use low reasoning effort, and you cap the number of tools it can use. But when you have a really complex problem, you crank that dial way up. You give it high reasoning effort, and you explicitly tell it, hey, figure this out on your own, and don't stop till the job is done.
Now get this. This one single instruction right here is the magic key to unlocking true persistence. You're completely changing the dynamic. You're saying, don't come back to me with problems, come back with solutions. I mean, it's the difference between hiring an intern you have to constantly manage and delegating to a senior partner you can actually trust.
So, where does this new agent-like ability have the most impact? For sure, it's in coding. With the right kinds of prompts, GPT-5 isn't just for whipping up a few functions. It's for architecting and delivering actual production-ready applications.
For building a whole app from scratch, what the guide calls a 0 to 1 technique, the idea is powerful. You don't just ask the model to build an app, no. First, you ask it to define what a great app even looks like. You're basically forcing it to become its own expert QA engineer before it even writes one line of code.
So here's how that actually works. First, the model privately creates a rubric for itself, a set of standards. Then, it uses that rubric to judge its own work, improving it in this silent, internal loop. And only when its creation hits the top marks on its own standards does it finally show you the result.
And this is the command that makes it all stick. It creates this incredibly powerful internal feedback loop. The model is forced to be its own toughest critic, to self-critique and just start over if it's not good enough. You end up with a high-quality result from a rigorous QA process you didn't even have to manage.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract theory. Let's look at a real-world case study from the AI code editor Cursor. They were an alpha tester, and they discovered that their old prompts, the ones that worked great for GPT-4, were actually hurting GPT-5's performance. They had to completely rethink their approach.
Just look at how their prompt evolved. It's fascinating. For older models, they had to be super explicit, be thorough. But with GPT-5, that same instruction made it, well, kind of chatty. It asked too many questions. The model's baseline intelligence is just so much higher that the better prompt is actually softer. It trusts the AI to be thorough and just nudges it toward finding the answer itself. It's a huge lesson. Collaborate, don't micromanage.
Which leads us perfectly into our final section, avoiding the new pitfalls. Because GPT-5 follows instructions so literally, any kind of ambiguity or contradiction in your prompts is more damaging than ever before. Precision is no longer a best practice, it's an absolute requirement. So you might be wondering, what actually happens if you send it mixed signals? An older model might just take a guess or ignore one of your rules, but GPT-5? Oh, it's like that overachieving student. It will literally tie itself in knots trying to obey both of your contradictory rules, and your whole task just grinds to a halt.
Let's make this concrete with a scheduling example. One instruction says, never schedule without consent, but another one says, auto-assign, without contacting the patient. See the problem? That's a logical impossibility. The AI gets stuck. But look at the fix. Just changing without contacting to after informing. Boom, the conflict is gone, and the agent can move forward.
So all of this builds up to what might be the single most powerful idea in this entire guide, a concept called metaprompting. The idea is simple, but honestly, it's profound. What if the best person to fix your broken prompt is the AI itself?
And this isn't just a cool idea. The guide actually gives you a template you can use right now. You literally feed GPT-5 your flawed prompt, you explain the result you want versus the bad result you're getting, and then you just ask it for the minimal edits to fix the whole thing. You're using the AI's own intelligence to debug its own instruction manual. How wild is that?
So let's tie this all together. Mastering GPT-5 really demands a new mindset. It's about learning to tune the AI's proactivity, not just give it commands. It's about enforcing quality by making the AI its own toughest critic. And maybe most importantly, it means evolving our old habits, making sure our instructions are crystal clear, and even using the AI itself to help us get better. It's a shift from being just an instruction giver to being an architect of intelligence.
And this leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought. If an AI can actually help write and refine its own instructions, how does that fundamentally change the role of the developer? It really suggests a future that's less about writing every single command and more about skillfully guiding and collaborating with these incredibly complex intelligent systems. Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.